Hello, hello, it's Keegan, and I'm so excited coming together with Aalisha Varnel to share about her coming home flower essences. And we managed to set the date for today. We've been talking about this for a while, and I am in a public library in northwestern Florida. So forgive any sounds that may be coming through the door, but this is the situation we find ourselves in, and um, it's a great adventure. And welcome, Aalisha, and welcome everyone to this educational moment to find
Hmm.
out what are the flower essences. Somebody who's been studying social evolution and excited in being a part of creating a movement of movements for human thriving and freedom to be realized. And so I'll invite you to introduce yourself, Aalisha, and to share what you're going to be talking about today.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much, Keegan. I really appreciate all the work that you've done to help me get this together. And yeah, as you said, I've been working on the issue of social evolution, probably started about 25, 27 years ago. And so my primary work is to provide people with the information regarding how our culture is shifting from hierarchical power-based impositional and punitive model to a network based, values based, invitational, and restorative model. And what I've discovered is that when I talk about the history of the coming home flower essences, these came to me in a dream in 2010. And then it was way ahead of its time. And I just basically forgot about it until 2024. And then I was asked to bring them back. And in 2024, it was conveyed to me that the coming home flower essences are really beneficial to support my work on social evolution. So, all of my work, I've got the genius model of social evolution. The most important thing is the coming home flower essences. And I think that people will be able to see when we go through this presentation just how valuable it is for people. But my primary focus is I also have a program that I'm introducing people to the Feldenkrais method, because that's a method where people can feel kinesthetically and tactile. They can feel a sense of potency, a sense of competence. And there's also the Great Neighbor Project that came to me through a series of dreams. And then all of this is going to come together in the Much Abides Spirit Reclamation Center, which comes from the poem Desiderata, where it says, though much is taken, much abides. So I have a very optimistic view of the future. In fact, the future for me is now, and I see all of these wonderful processes emerging now. Now, all of my work is focused on the single premise that the reason we're in such a pickle is because 80% of us feel inadequate. So when I take a look at the different models out there for social evolution, most of them, in fact, all of them that I'm aware of, focus on economic stability. And an insight that I got just a little while ago is that men are tending to synthesize different models of economics to create this new culture, and women are synthesizing different methods of healing to contribute to the creation of this new culture. So that's where I'm focused. And what I think we need to be looking at as the fundamental genesis or the seed to create social evolution is to do something about that statistic where 80% of us, including therapists, feel inadequate, feel like we don't belong, we're not enough, that sort of thing. And that's where the coming home flower essences are such a valuable medicine to come forward at this time. So I'm just going to go over what we'll talk about in this video, and then we'll get into it. So the outline for today is I'm going to talk about what flower essences are, and then I'm going to go through the origin story of how I was given the coming home flower essences. We'll go through every one. There are 18 essences in the package, and we'll go through every one of them. And you've done such a fantastic job getting the pictures of all the flowers, so that's going to be fun. And then we'll get into benefits of flower essences on a personal level, collective level. I'll talk about where I see the future of this modality going. Then we will take some time to talk about preparation so that if people want to order the flower essences themselves, they'll know how to prepare it. And there'll be a little bit of a closing and a final message. So that's what's in store for the next hour long. All right.
Amazing. Before we get into that, do you want to just
Yeah.
share for context, like where are you in the world, and where would the spirit much abides center be?
I'm thinking I'm in southern Alberta, just about an hour south of Calgary, Alberta, and I'm thinking in the rolling hills near here. That's where I envision it. Now, initially, like all of the resources that I get from this, all the funds that come in will go towards that center. But initially, it will be a directive of services for people. And then eventually, I'd like to see a standalone retreat center based on the principles of sacred geometry.
Well, that sounds amazing, and
Yep.
I mean, Feldenkrais has been something that's helped me as well, and I'm taking this flower essence practice and running with it. I just started a couple days ago, and I'm definitely you know in need of this medicine that you're describing, and I feel like a lot of people out there are. So let's get
Yeah.
into it.
Okay. All right. So, what are flower essences? So, flower essences are a form of vibrational healing. They're similar to homeopathy, but not quite the same. And what happens with flower essences is that they are made in a manner where you take the blooms of the flowers when they're in full bloom, you put them in spring water, which has a crystalline structure, and you put them in a crystal bowl, sitting them out in the sun, and the sun potentizes the frequency. The frequency from the flower essence is from the flower petals. It's captured in the water, in the spring water, and then it's potentized by the sun. So it holds the spirit of the flower, the essence of the flower. There's no particulate matter in them. It's just strictly a capture of the vibration. And how it differs from homeopathy is homeopathy works on the law of similars. And that says that when you give the body a similar frequency to the malady that a person is experiencing, it kind of amplifies that enough so that the innate intelligence of the body can take over and help with the healing. But what happens with flower essences is that they work on the basis of a union of polarities. So it's sort of working with both the shadow side and the light side of each of the polarities. And I think that will come more obvious when we get right into it. The What happens when people take a remedy, they're looking to have a diminishment of the symptoms. But in this case, I really want to emphasize that flower essences, I don't take flower essences to fix myself, but rather to find myself. And that's a really different dynamic. There is an innate wisdom in flower essences, so they're not going to do your work for you. We come here, anchor into this space to have a human experience and learn how to find the resources that we need within ourselves. And so if a flower essences came along and did your work for you, it wouldn't be beneficial. So it just helps you to find yourself. It definitely works on the basis of alchemy, where you transmute the so-called negative experience or experience of limitation to one of greater competence. Okay.
And I just want to mention like it's vibrational medicine. Yeah, like I mean, I would recommend anyone out there read this book that's by Richard Gerber. It's I think it's Dr. Richard Gerber. It's called Vibrational Medicine.
Yeah.
It's a pretty thick book, but it has some compelling evidence as to how the subtle frequencies, held by flowers and various other things are able to be used as medicine.
Yeah. And it certainly is in line with a really key aspect of social evolution. Tesla said, in order to know the wonders of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that is the future of healing. And for some of it, it is the presence of healing. We can access that right away. So the way that flower essences, I'm just going to show this. This is what's called the mother tincture bottle. So a few drops of the water, which picks up the frequency of the flower essence, is put into this bottle, and then it's filled up with a preservative. And different flower essence companies use different preservatives. Some use grape alcohol. Brandy is the traditional one. And so if people purchase their own flower essences, and there's a link, there will be a link to all the places where you can purchase flower essences. You could either get the small tincture bottle, or you can get a large tincture bottle. Oh, I don't have that on me. Okay. So if you're just going to make for like less than 40 people, you could get the small tincture bottle. But if you're going to make it for a lot of people, you might want to get the big one. This is called the mother tincture. And by the way, the Coming Home flower essences are available open source. So anyone who feels a calling to make them, you are invited to make them. You should contact me and I'll just help you work the way through it. But this is available open source. Now, what happens after you get the mother tincture bottle, what is flower essence therapy is when you go to see a flower essence practitioner, is that the practitioner traditionally will find 3 to 5 flower essences and they'll make a treatment bottle. And the treatment bottle this is a 2-ounce treatment bottle. This is the size that the Coming Home flower essences come in. This is the usual size of 1 ounce. And so the flower essence practitioner will, speaking to the person or doing dowsing, they'll determine 5 or so flower essences that can go in a treatment bottle, and then usually people take a treatment bottle for about 3 weeks at a time. Then you go back to your practitioner again and you get another one. Now, that's very different from what happens with the Coming Home flower essences. Because of the complexity for this, and also because not only with Coming Home flower essences does it work at the individual level, but it also works to create change in the collective experience. People can expect to be taking this for 4 to 6 months and maybe even longer. And so the way that flower essence are taken is that you usually put a few drops under your tongue 3 or 4 times a day, or you can take a dropper bottle and you can put it in a glass of water and you can drink it throughout the course of the day. And so what happens is that it's bringing a coherent frequency into your body. So the way I like to explain coherence is to use the example of a 20-watt light bulb in a room. And when you have a 20-watt light bulb, that's not a lot of power. And you've got photons going in all directions off of that 20-watt light bulb. Now, if you take the same number of photons and you put it in a laser so that the photons, each photon follows the photon in front of it, you now have enough strength to cut through steel. So the difference between an incoherent frequency, which just goes all over the place, and the coherence of flower essences and gem elixirs is that they are so powerful, and they can cut through all of that baloney that our ego puts in front of us and creates difficulty in our lives. So they're very coherent. And then through the process of resonance, like if you have 2 tuning forks that are the same frequency and you strike one, the other one is going to vibrate. So that's resonance. So because the Coming Home flower essences are coherent, then whatever is not in resonance with that flower essence will come into resonance. So it's the process of alchemy, the process of transmutation. It's ultimate paradox. It's very gentle and it's also very powerful. Okay. Now, do you have any comments, or should I just go on with?
Sure. I mean, when you speak, I mean, we're not lasers ourselves, but we can have laser focus, right? And it's like kind of like where we're going in life is like if you have all various ideas, like myself, like I have all kinds of dreams and ambitions, things that interest me, things I'm passionate about, but to actually have success with achieving something, I have to have a certain level of coherence, like clarity about what it is that I'm going to focus on, and
Yeah.
how I'm going to make progress with it.
Yeah.
So having coherence, and also it's the regenerative principle, right? Is having an increasing coherence in our energy.
Right.
That's it's part of
Yeah.
healing. And it's the opposite of entropy, right?
Right.
Regeneration.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm going to be talking about entropy and syntropy in just a bit. So I'm just going to move forward with my introduction to coming home flower essence. So I was seeing a naturopath, and she just asked me, "Would you like to try flower essence?" I went, "Yes." Had no idea what they were, but it just intuitively I just said yes. And so interestingly, a week later, I went to a location in Calgary, Dr. Bud Ricky's Center, which was an alternative health center, and they put I held an electrode in one hand, and then there was a disc that they put all my supplements on in the middle, and then the practitioner was putting an electrode on the acupuncture points on my other hand. And what happened is, as they put each supplement on a little disc in between, it would show, there was a gauge on there, and it would show whether it was beneficial to me or not beneficial. And the little needle in the middle would kind of wiggle up here and wiggle back and stuff like that. And the last thing that she tested, and this was only a week after I got the flower essences, and I just thought, oh, there's something nice. I didn't really take them seriously. Well, as soon as she put the flower essences on that little disc in between the electrode and where she was testing me, the needle went boom, right up to center, and it held steady. And none of the other things that I was taking did that. And she leaped backwards and she said, "Whoa, that's by far the most powerful thing that you're taking." So it was just a week after I started working with them that I had the confirmation of just how powerful they were. And so eventually I became a certified flower essence practitioner because I just started working with them all the time then. But I never went into practice for myself. And so it was confusing to me when the Coming Home Flower Essences came through in 2010, because I thought, why is the source giving this to me? I'm not even, out in practice. And it wasn't until 2024 when I revived them and brought them back that I heard that the reason this was given to me is to support my work on social evolution. And then I took another look at the Coming Home Flower Essence and said, well, of course, why didn't I see this before? But, I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't see it. So that's why I have it. I'm not a really experienced flower essence practitioner. I mean, you have actually created flower essences from the flowers, haven't you?
Yes, and that
Yeah,
was a really beautiful experience.
yeah,
And I'm curious to ask, yeah, you say they were given to you. Can you kind of share like how that came
yeah.
through?
I woke up on October 15th, 2010, and got up and started writing. So I was in a semi-trance state, and I wrote for about 40 minutes. And all of this information I have 3 different documents that people will be able to access. And almost all the information in document 1 came through to me in that first 40 minutes. And I didn't even know until the end of that 40 minutes that it wasn't me writing. But then there was this clarity that, because one of the things that happened is both holly and wild oat are in these combinations. And those are the 2 flower essences that Dr. Bach said would be the ones that most people need, and most people need for a long period of time. And when I realized that both of those were in here, somehow that triggered to me that I wasn't writing this, like I wasn't creating this. This was just coming through. And so I'm going to read. So I was channeling information, and there's a little short message at the beginning of each of the combinations. There's 3 combinations. And so I channeled that message, and then I got which flower essences were supposed to be coming. And then I looked up in my flower essence repertoire, this classic book here. I looked up the definitions in there and chose different phrases from them. And, 40 minutes later, basically the Coming Home Flower Essences were in physical form and available to the world.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Okay, now then, so in 2010, they were sold in a couple of places. One was a health food store, another was a chiropractor's office. And in both cases, the proprietor of the location said that someone had walked in, pointed to the package on the shelf and said, "What's that? I need that." So the really highly sensitive people were able to feel a resonance with them, even way back in 2010, but it was way ahead of its time, like just way ahead. So I put it on the back burner. And then in 2024, as I'm walking down my hallway right past the closet where I kept my flower essences, I heard, "Bring back the coming home flower essences." Now, that particular voice I pay attention to. I've had other experiences like this where I used to own a specialty fitness business for obese people, and that came to me in a download after watching an obese woman experience, and I experienced her humiliation in a regular fitness class. I started a fitness business for obese people, and that was incredibly successful. And all that information came to me, at that time as well. So this is not a completely out of the blue kind of thing. I've had other experiences like this where I get the information. And so there's a particular voice. When I hear that voice, I just do what it tells me to do. So in 2024, I heard the voice say, "Bring back the coming home flower essences." I had to go to an old computer, pull it up, get the supplies, everything else. And then I got a lot more information because I asked the question. I finally thought to ask, "Why are you giving this to me? Why aren't you giving it to somebody else?" And it says, "Because this will support your work on social evolution." So in June of that year, June 2024, I took this in and had a practitioner who has the life biofeedback. And it's very similar to the situation that I had when I first tested it. He tested 60 patients, and 58 out of 60 showed significant to profound resonance with the coming home flower essences. So that's extremely high. There's not very many things where you're going to have 97% of the population show a benefit with any kind of product. I don't consider this a product. I consider it sacred medicine. But 58 out of 60 people that he tested showed that it was beneficial to them. The two that didn't show the benefit were two older men. And my thinking on that is that they may have already fulfilled their life purpose, but most of us, and I think probably a lot of people listening to this will resonate with this, most of us we are hearing from all kinds of channelers and astrologers and so on that the people that are on the planet right now are here to negotiate this profound shift in human evolution and collective organization. And so I think that maybe their sole purpose didn't align with this, but 58 out of 60 people did show significant benefits. So that's pretty powerful evidence.
That is. And do you know something about how the biofeedback works, or like what is the indication to show that?
Well, that life biofeedback, you have cups around your wrists, your ankles, and your head. And so it's measuring, and then there's all kinds of programs on the life biofeedback device that you can input that frequency into the body, and then see, because there's a little dial that you can look at the screen, and you can see whether the body is being receptive to that. It's really incredible technology. I recommend it. And so what happened, and in fact, this was unique because when the practitioner was testing me at first, he kept looking at the screen and looking at the screen. He said, "This is really good for you. This is really good for you." And he'd never done that with anything before. And so he was intrigued, and he agreed to input this frequency with his other patients. And, he found that 58 out of 60 showed that there was benefit to them.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Okay. So the other thing that happened in 2010 is that a few months after I got it, I was intrigued for some reason, it's one of those, for some reason, I decided to graph it on David Hawkin's scale of consciousness and also on Donald Epstein's 12 stages of healing. So I'm just going to back up a little bit, and I know that you won't be able to see. I'm going to get you to pull up the Hawkin scale in just a minute, but I just want to show an overview. I've taught this Hawkin scale of consciousness. Now, David Hawkins was a psychiatrist that was just about died, and as he was in the process of dying, he called out, "If there is a God, I ask that he make himself known to me now." And he completely recovered, and he entered into the field of studying consciousness. Like, he went way up on the scale of consciousness. So what this means is he created this graph, and below the level of 200 on the graph, this is where there's a lot of incoherent frequencies. So I'm just going to do this real quick and then you can pull up the slide. So, but the levels below 200, this is where it is emotion dominant. And this is where people are feeling incoherent, like they're shaky and that sort of thing.
Your zoom is following your left hand.
Oh, okay.
It's zoom. Oh, now it's zoomed pretty far in, but we can read indifferent, demanding, vengeful, antagonistic, anger,
Okay.
denying, etc.
Okay. And then I'm just going to slide this down. Then 200 is what I call the, um, like, it's like the Berlin Wall. Because once people get over 200, then they start moving into where we have cognition dominant. So you're able to think rationally and not reactive, you're responsive. And so from 200 to 500, these are where you're entering into a more coherent state. And then from levels 500 up to 1,000, that's when it is pure experience and the sense of not needing to be in control. So between 0 and 200 on the scale, people feel like they're controlled by others. Between 200 and 500 on the scale, you start feeling like you're more in control of your life. And then above 500, there's no need to control. You know that you're being guided and you don't need to control your life. Okay? So you can pull up the slide now. So what happened when I graphed the Coming Home Flower essences on the David Hawkins scale of consciousness is that you can see that in combination 1, which we'll start talking about shortly, it's helping people in those really incoherent stages of fear. And then when we get up to combination 2, that's helping people with primarily with the cognition aspect and being able to respond rather than react. And then in combination 3, that comes back to people remembering their divine purpose. It really helps with people bringing their medicine into the world and living their purpose. So that just shows you that rocked my world when I graphed this and saw that it basically goes from the very bottom of the Hawkins scale of consciousness up to 600 on the scale. And it's no wonder then that it is so beneficial for 97% of the population are going to get a benefit from this, because like that's a lot of states for it to be helping with. Okay.
And so those are all the different flowers that are in these essence combinations up
Yeah.
along the left side.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty amazing. And then when I grafted on what's his name? The 12 stages of healing, I found that every stage of healing, there were flower essences for every stage of healing as well. Donald Epstein's 12 stages of healing, there's our flower essences that can help with every stage of healing. So it's just incredible that these 18 essences were chosen by what I refer to as the loving, omnipotent organizing principle. What some people call God, I call Loop, the loving, omnipotent organizing principle. Figured this out, and it blows my mind how incredible it is in terms of concept.
Wow.
Okay. Do I need to clarify any more on the Hawkins scale, or do you think that's good enough?
I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in there, but you have about the essences to share. So let's
Yeah.
move forward, and we can
Yeah.
always come back to Hawkins
Yeah.
scale of consciousness.
Sure. Okay, so let's do the fun stuff. You can go into there. Yeah, there's the 12 stages of healing. And that's something that people can come back to and look up, or you can go online and you can there's videos on the 12 stages of healing and that sort of thing. But just to say that when I graphed the Coming Home Flower Essences using these 2 metrics, that it showed such incredible breadth of application. Okay, so let's go into the actual flower essences. And we're going to start with shooting star. Now, when I'm going to read some information, but you can just delight in taking a look at this beautiful flower. This is the flower that the Coming Home Flower Essences is all about. This is the defining flower, and it was the first one that came to me. So on October 15th, the message that I received was, there are souls incarnated on this planet who feel as though they've never arrived or were sent to the wrong place. They feel themselves to be two individuals, separate from their source and or their earthly community. This combination will assist in addressing this sense of isolation and separation, for indeed the earth welcomes every soul in human form, just as every flower and tree is a celebration in form. To remember that your physical form blesses this earth, that in fact you were called to arrive in this place, and that indeed the angels danced on the day you were born. Blessings be. So
Oh, I
the,
got chills.
I know, my voice is wobbly. So the other thing about the coming home flower essences, which are very different from traditional essences, is I was also given an affirmation to put on the bottle. Usually it's just one word that gets put on a treatment bottle, but this had a phrase on it. And so the phrase on combination number 1 is, I belong in this body, I belong on this earth. And the theme is self and connection to earth, and the anchoring and energy is a note. And so the indications of imbalance for people who can benefit from working with combination 1, and by the way, people are to work with all 3 combinations all the time, but I'll come back to why they were put in different bottles rather than all 18 essences put in one bottle. They were put in different bottles because of the affirmation on the bottle. And the words on the bottle actually influence which harmonics of the flower are going to be amplified. So it is a blend of the words on the bottle and the flower essences themselves. So the indications of imbalance is reluctance to fully commit to the human experience can show up as frequent or severe injuries or illnesses, spaciness, flightiness, or aloof behavior, frequent moving or inability to make a house a home, also homelessness, fear of aging, body image disorders, escapism, addictions, drug use, computer, TV overuse, consumerism. And this works with stage 2 of the healing, which is looking for an external savior. So a quote that for people is, if only I had blank, I'd be happy, safe, complete. And it's people looking for something outside of themselves. Shooting star, I'll go into the message for shooting star. Basically, shooting star is the symbol for the whole coming home flower essence. It's also common for these individuals to have birth trauma, since the soul often hesitates at the moment of contraction into matter. Shooting star teaches such souls that earth is the right place to learn about heart-impelled love. And when you take a look at shooting star, it captures all of this divine energy from the heavens, and it channels it right down. And even the yellow on the shooting star, that's like the solar plexus. It just captures all of your divine essence and anchors it down so that you've got this one little spike right at the bottom, and it's anchoring you into the earth. You were meant to be here. You're a blessing to this earth, and that's what shooting star flower essence help people to remember. Do you have any comments, or we'll go on to
Just wow. It's physically representing. And there's that one on each of the flowers. There's that one little thing sticking out.
Yep.
And that's like our embodiment. Right?
That's right.
Taking all that we are and
Yep.
presencing it here and now.
It's just a beautiful flower. Okay, well, let's go into sweet pea. Now, sweet pea is at the heart of suffering. At the heart of the suffering of one who needs sweet pea is a deep feeling of homelessness. The tendrils of sweet pea are constantly reaching for something to cling to, as are those people who will benefit from this essence. Sweet pea helps one feel anchored and complete from within. It's the classic essence for restlessness, although wild oat is also another, I guess there's 2 classic essences, and it's powerful at the collective level to address homelessness. No, I wanted to, also there's an element that's emphasized in each of the flower essences. So for shooting star, it's the element of moving from ether to earth. And in sweet pea, the element that is emphasized is earth. And the stages of healing are stages 2 and 3, looking for an external savior or reaching for a new perspective. So that's sweet pea. Okay.
Mm.
Anytime you want to comment on this, just go ahead. Otherwise, we'll just go through. So, baby blue eyes, like, oh, this is the one about innocence and self acceptance. And this baby blue eyes is feeling at ease with oneself, trusting in the goodness of the world, thus able to let down one's defensive guard. At the individual level, it addresses father issues, especially fear of punishment. At the collective level, it helps mitigate the harm of patriarchal dominance, toxic masculinity, control by threat or punishment. So it's the restoration of innocence and trust in the world. So that's baby blue eyes.
Wow.
Such a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Okay, we can go on to pretty face. So, pretty face, great spiritual illness is created in those who identify with cultural standards of beauty, toxic femininity, leading one to feel somehow diminished. Pretty face assists the soul to contact its true inner luminosity, the real component of beauty, removing the mask or false front, the need for approval. The element here is light. Oh, the element for baby blue eyes was water, which makes sense because we cry out of ours. Pretty face, the element is light. And the stage here for healing is you no longer dishonor yourself. You no longer merge with the illusion. So it brings about wholeness. So you can see how wide open that, and they're like shimmering. They're very bright. Okay, moving on to the next one is borage. And borage has some of the same similarities as shooting star. But the thing about borage is the counterpoint to discouragement. It's often identified as the single flower essence that is usually called upon for courage. The borrego plant was originally called corrego, referring to the soul quality of courage.
Wow,
Not so
that's so
much,
interesting.
yeah, not so much connected to the idea of courage as having grit and strength to overcome things, but buoyancy of the soul. And when you see the element emphasized here is air, and when you see the borage plant growing, it's really bouncy. You know, all these little heads are just kind of bounce around. But at the same time, you can see that it's a bit prickly, not super prickly, but a bit prickly when you touch it. And so it's like, don't mess with me kind of thing. So it's just interesting characteristics that it's associated with courage, and particularly buoyancy, like the idea of being uplifted. Okay. And then the last one in combination one is mallow. And mallow is one that gathers what you've learned at the individual level and collects it all to move to the next combination. So it says, from fear of connection to the ability to feel and receive the warm flow of exchange, which occurs when two souls touch energetically. Mallow gathers the grounding security influences of the other essences in this combination and takes that out into the world. Okay, so combination two I call the communication combo. The element here is fire, and it is the idea of transmutation and alchemy. And it's in the healing stages, it helps people transition from stage 5 to stage 7 and 8, where you're moving from a sense of emptiness to a sense of connectedness. Okay, so that's combination one. I belong in this body, I belong on this earth. And now we'll move into combination two, unless you have some comments.
Just that's the affirmation that goes with that. And so if you take it, you basically would affirm that each time.
Yeah,
I
well, it's
belong in this body, I belong on this earth.
right. Yeah, yeah. So combination number two, the false belief is someone else's behavior prevents me from experiencing peace. The affirmation on the bottle is I belong in this family, I belong with this group. The theme is family and communication, and the anchoring energy is a chord. So now you are part of a chord, not just an individual note. And the message is involvement with the family or other small group often provides the catalyst for change. Frustration with communication leads the soul to seek something more. This thought, help me God, is often confused with the earthly demand, change something or someone so that I can come to peace, or more accurately, so that I can be right. When it is realized the ego has misinterpreted the request, it is possible to rest peacefully with the more accurate teaching of the sages. Change no circumstances in my life, change me. From this place of ultimate power and grace, the tongue is tamed, so to speak, and the words of caution or compliance are uttered through the filter of divine grace. And so it is. So the indications of imbalance in here would be communication conflicts at work or home, focusing on problems rather than enjoyment. It mitigates hatred, disharmony, sadness, loneliness, jealousy, disdain, disconnection. It improves time stress, rushing, being overscheduled, and the belief that being busy means I'm important. And the first one, and this is also the real indication of the benefit of combination 2, is calendula. Calendula is the counterpoint to being argumentative, and it is the classic essence for all communication issues. So what you've written down there, a touch of tact for graceful relating. But you can see when you take a look at calendula how many petals there are. And there's all this yellow right at the center. And this is how you shine your light out into the collective experience. The element emphasized here is water, being able to flow and adapt and respond to what's going on. This is a place, this is stage 8 in the 12 stages of healing. This is a place for possibilities, connection, and alignment. Okay? And then we can go on to Holly. Oh boy, we could be here for 2 hours with Holly, but I'm just going to refrain. So Holly is about holiness and wholeness. It enhances the ability to feel joy for yourself and others and let go of hatred, resentment, competition, and anger. It leads the soul toward a feeling of unity, inclusiveness, and trust. When Holly is, when you can pull in these different flower essences and amplify them in connection with the different combinations. So when you are thinking about Holly in combination with combo 1, it eases a sense of self-disappointment. In combination 2, it eases a sense of disappointment with others. And in combination 3, you can think of it as healing a sense of distance from the divine. The element emphasized is fire, transmutation, alchemy, and it's beneficial at 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. The thing about Holly is that it is, and it's a really interesting plant, is that at the lower levels of holly where it grows closer to the ground and animals can eat it, it's all prickly and you can see where all the prickles are. But at the upper stage of holly, when it grows up higher, the prickles go away and the leaves are all smooth. So it's like as one opens to more of their divine expression and they become more mature, then they don't need to be so prickly. So, and holly is one of the ones that Dr. Bach said almost everybody needs this and almost everybody can benefit from taking this for a long period of time. And in the next video that we do, I'll talk a lot about holly because it's so important at this time of such incredible divisiveness in the world. Okay, now the next one is unique. This is rose quartz, and this is the only gem elixir in this coming home flower essence. But rose quartz is a very anchoring. When you're starting to deal with minerals, you're pulling in more of a physical application of it. It's an antidote to heart blocking due to childhood trauma, difficulty initiating and maintaining connection with others. It allows one to soften and bring compassion to oneself and others. And the element here is ether to earth. The crystalline structure helps to hold the feelings of compassion and love. So rose quartz is one of those.
Like the shooting star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ether to earth. Okay, and then the next one is quaking grass. This is one of my favorites. So this is where the doctrine of signatures, where you look at the plant and it tells you what it's all about. So all of those little seed heads. Quaking grass is the ability to harmonize with a group, to see self-identity within the larger matrix of the group. It assists with fear of stumbling over words and speaking in front of a group. It's very beneficial if everyone in your group is taking this. And you can see how tight-knit the packets are. So every one of those little packets is a seed. That's the individual self, but you can see how it forms this beautiful teardrop shape when you've got all these seeds coming together in quaking grass. And the fact that it helps with that sense of trembling when you're in the presence of other people, that's where it can help you feel like you can trust other people more, and so on. The element is air. Okay, we can go on to the next one. This is another really unique one. Indian pink focuses attention. Those in need do many things at once and live with much intensity. The astral body spins out of control, no longer stabilized by the ego. Rushing leads to superficial relationships. At home, it can feel like a whirl of activities and a really busy recreation calendar. At work, it has to do with deadlines, time pressures. Indian pink amplifies internal awareness rather than sensing outward for threat. Helps one stay in the middle of the road rather than the ditch of apathy or the ditch of unrealistic passion. So what I meant there is, I really like Eileen McKusick from Biofield Tuning. She talks about when you're balanced, you're in the middle of the road. But if you're really agitated and there's a lot of drama going on, then it's like you're in the right-hand ditch. And if you're depressed and despondent, it's like you're in the left-hand ditch. So what can happen with Indian pink in particular, if people are doing so many things all the time and rushing around, they're in the right-hand ditch. Or if they exhaust themselves so that they can no longer, keep up with the demands, they're in the left-hand ditch. Indian pink helps you stay in the middle of the road and balance the demands on your time, that sort of thing. So that's a pretty unique one in this. And then we can go on to the next one. And this is another one that almost everybody needs. Zinnia. Again, you can see all the petals involved in this and the bright colors. Zinnia is all about play. Most people have no idea how much they suppress joy. And this is a quote from Feldenkrais. It says, "The great majority of people live satisfactory enough lives behind their masks to stifle any emptiness they may feel whenever they stop and listen to their heart. At this time, many are weary and heavy-hearted. Zinnia, combined with borage and Scotch broom, which we'll talk about in the next one, mitigates unbalanced intensity and amplifies humor and lightheartedness. It's an excellent essence for group meetings if the focus is on limitations." So when people start getting into complaining about the government or whatever, it's just not helpful. So if you have group meetings, this is another one. Well, all of it, this entire combination is good for group meetings. And the element emphasized here is light. And it is the stage of healing is ascent, stage 10, union with creative forces. So that's the end of combination number 2. And so moving into combination number 3, this is the false belief I have to do something or I have to do something special in order to have value. Something is missing. Can't you see me? The bottle title is I Am Complete, My Purpose is Peace. The theme is mutuality and purpose, and the anchoring energy is harmonic resonance. So the message that I received here is the opportunity exists within this lifetime to remember the soul, S-O-U-L and S-O-L-E, purpose for incarnation in physical form. It is this and no other, to come to peace. First, come to peace. Be fully present in this world, in this moment. Enjoy the experience of your physical presence. Listen to the harmony within the wind. Enjoy the dancing of the sunlight on the water, and indeed on all the surface it touches, including your own face. First come to peace, my dear, and from this place of deeper knowing, a desire to blossom into service to others will emerge, and you will recognize it. It is assured. So the indications of imbalance would be panic, feeling distance from source, constant, frequent searching for meaningful work, feeling that one's work is beneath them or unappreciated. There could be a preoccupation with celebrity, seeking the spotlight from without rather than recognizing the light within. Feelings of helplessness when hearing news about the state of the world. And activism born out of fear or anger. It also represents helping to heal the savior or martyr archetype. So the first one, again, this is a unique essence in here. This is not a flower. This is actually the essence that is captured using fresh spring water in locations where turbulence breaks down rock. It's the classic essence for resistance to change, often used for those beginning flower essence therapy as it reconnects the soul to plant consciousness, a consciousness that knows itself to be complete. On my handout right here, I haven't got the elements. I've got them, well, we'll just have to miss that. Well, rock water is obviously water. Then this next one is Peace Rose. We can move on to that one. And Peace Rose is, again, one of the most powerful. The roses themselves are the family that hold the highest frequency, the most coherent frequency. And so Peace Rose helps align the soul with divine courage. This is another one for courage. Indeed, it takes courage to stay the course, listening for messages of the heart, discarding the frantic promptings of conventional culture that is constantly urging, do. You can also use wild rose. If Peace Rose is the only flower essence that comes from Perilandra. You can also buy zinnia from Perilandra, but Peace Rose, if you don't want to order from a separate organization, you can use wild rose. And the whole rose family is really coherent. Okay. The next one is Buttercup. This is one of my favorites. And the fact that Buttercup is in combination number 3 is really important. This is actually, when I graphed David Hawkin's scale of consciousness, this is the one that is the highest on the scale. And Buttercup is humility, not self-effacement. So souls should not judge themselves by conventional standards of success, becoming afflicted with self-doubt and diminished self-worth. There are enormously important times in which the soul gathers inward strength and consolidates its essence. Buttercup helps the soul to realize and sustain its beautiful inner light, which becomes a source of peace for all for whom it contacts. So Buttercup is like the divine luminescence. And when Buttercup is combined with I am complete, my purpose is peace, this helps to build a sense of connection with divine light. Okay, then the next one is Lady Slipper. These next two are interesting. So Lady Slipper is to integrate spiritual purpose with daily work. It helps to it redistributes vital energy from too much thinking about purpose to grounded action, literally bringing more energy to the feet. And what do you put on feet? You put slippers on feet. So this assists in helping one to walk their path into the world. Okay.
I thought that's great. And I was thinking how Pretty Face was also an appropriate name for what that flower can offer us.
Yes, for sure. Yeah,
as far
for sure.
as over transcending this, the whole sphere of thought around I'm not enough because I need to match a certain image, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is, I mean, flower essences in total helps to address the cultural illness that 80% of us feel that we're not good enough. That's what coming home is coming home to yourself. Okay, so the next one, this is interesting, and so this is Wild Oat. And Wild Oat is helping to transform the basic cultural illness of our age, which is working for money rather than expressing yourself through your vocation, that bringing your medicine into the world. So wild oat helps people respond to true life calling, the ability to truly serve and help others. And this is where, when people are sowing their wild oats, it's the idea of trying a whole bunch of different things and seeing what resonates with you and what amplifies your talents and abilities. So we're going to play a little video here that that shows what wild oat is all about. This is available online.
Let's see. Here it is.
They walk. The awns twist as they dry out during the day, and then when they get wet, they untwist. Tiny hairs grip onto the ground, keeping the individual moving forward. In this way, the seeds work their way along the ground until eventually they find a rock to hide under, or a crack to drill into.
Okay, good.
This adaptation is
That's super amazing.
That is. So that's a pretty good understanding of what wild oat does. It's like, go out there, try a bunch of different things, and see what lights you up. And the last one, and all of these are so important. So the last one is Scotch broom, and Scotch broom is for people who have over concern with the state of the world, and it undoes the fear of you undo the fear for the earth. Because oftentimes what happens is that for many people, they're projecting their personal fear onto what's happening in the earth, and it helps to separate that and make that distinction between, like, deal with your own personal fear, resolve your trauma, that sort of thing, and then the world won't seem so scary. When a person knows who they are, they know that they are capable, they know that they are potent, then they can see life as the hero's journey, where life is an adventure, and we're here to have the adventure. The interesting thing about Scotch broom is that it's sometimes considered invasive. It can take over an area really quickly, and so it's like, but it's so tenacious. It's really got the tenacity to be able to bloom and create this beautiful yellow flower, regardless of whether the soil is good quality and whether the wind is blowing or whatever. It has, again, it's another flower essence in the courage sort of quadrant. Okay, so those are the 18 flower essences in the Coming Home Flower Essence series.
Great.
And okay, now we're going to have another. So I'm going to talk about the benefits now. And when I was seeing a flower essence practitioner, I was seeing probably one of the best flower essence practitioners in the world. Her name was Iris, appropriately. And she was clairvoyant. She had the ability to see light around people and also light around the flower essences. And what happened when people walked into her room is that she had 1,000 flower essences in these drawers, and light would start to creep out from the drawer. She would pull the drawer open and seemingly just grab the flower essences at random. But those were the bottles that lit up. So there is this interspecies communication that happens here. And here's the generosity of spirit of botanical remedies, is that when people walked in, the flower essences said, "Choose me, I can help." They would literally light up. And Iris had a Kirlian photography sleeve. And so what you could do is you could put your hand in the sleeve and you would get a picture of light. And each of your fingers indicates some aspect of your health. And you could see the light around your fingers. She would do this picture, and then she would give you your flower essence, and then she'd take the picture again, and the light would be brighter. So, and the other thing is that she had in her little place where she had all her pictures, was she put a flower essence in the sleeve, and you could see light around the bottle of the flower essence. So we've got another little video here that Zach Bush put on. Yeah. So we're going to watch Zach Bush, a short that Zach Bush put up, just about 30 seconds.
And play.
It turns out that the plants sense your vibration as you come here and approach with water, and they sense your nurture. We can put an EKG system, an electroencephalogram, basically on the plant, with little leads, and check it. Then we send you out of the house, and that plant will have a certain vibration with you gone. If we then call you and say, come on back to the house, that house plant, when it senses your energy field entering a 2-kilometer sphere around it, suddenly perks up. That houseplant, because it understands its nurture, will sense your return and have a stronger sense of life force because you're near. So if that plant can feel you 2 kilometers away, can you imagine what a forest is feeling when it's connected through a mycelial network and everything else? That plant is in a pod, isolated, and it can still feel you. And so these plants are sensory experiences that are so tuned and so good at witnessing nature.
Okay, so I just want
That's so
one of the
interesting.
things that
I didn't know that.
yeah. So it's this notion that with the indigenous and aboriginal peoples in the world, like they really have a strong connection with the botanical kingdom and the mineral kingdom and so on, but most of us have lost that. And so one of the benefits, in addition to all the individual benefits for the flower essences in that we've gone over, is that flower essences in total can help people build that sense of connection with the botanical kingdom. And we're so much in need of that. For I'm not even going to start my rant on that. But so anyway, that is one of the things that I think is a bigger picture of how working with flower essences can affect our culture. Okay. So the benefits, the personal benefits, they help you connect with the elements, and they help to heal a sense of dislocation. Like they help to heal dislocation trauma, where people feel that they are disconnected from the earth. Moving into the collective experience, in the next video that we make, that's the video that I'm really excited about making, because that's where I show how the Coming Home Flower Essences interfaces with my work on social connection. So I'm just going to touch on it right now. But in terms of the collective, every person that is taking the Coming Home Flower Essences, they will be emanating out. And this was told to me by the source that gave this to me in 2010. They said that the emanation out from the person for those flower essences is going to be stronger than usual. They put that intention into the flower essences when they gave it to me. And so every person now becomes an antenna. As they walk out in the world, they're going to be emanating these 18 frequencies that 97% of the population can benefit from. And then through the process of resonance, if you are taking the Coming Home Flower Essence and somebody else is taking it, then it's going to be amplified that much more. So there is something called the Maharishi effect, and this has to do with transcendental meditation. And what they found is that if 10% of people were meditating within a particular region, you could see benefits in terms of economic indicators, as well as reduction in crime and things like that. But with this, because it's so specific, I think that if even 1% of people are taking this within a geographic region, you're probably going to be able to see the Maharishi effect. So this I'm going to get into a lot more in the next video, but this to me is so profoundly needed at this time to build this sense of connection and to focus more on how we resonate with other people than what our differences are.
Absolutely. And I know, I definitely was resonating with a lot of the things you were saying as far as indications of imbalance, and I know that these things are widespread. That I'm not the only one that has this sense of not being able to feel rooted and connected to a place or to the community that I'm seeking, and so that's been a struggle of continually seeking that, and I'm excited to be taking these flower essences, and look forward to see how that plays out and makes a transformation in my experience.
Right. Um, Okay, so there's just a couple of things that I also want to talk about in terms of the collective. I like to synthesize other agencies that can contribute to this. So in the show notes, there will be a place for flfe.net, which stands for Focused Life Force Energy. And what that organization does, I'm not going to go into it, just to refer people there and find out how their modality helps to create coherence within a space. So it is very simpatico with the Coming Home Flower Essence, where you want to create coherence. This is also what I'll be talking about when I talk about the Great Neighbor Project. The Great Neighbor Project is where you can find a way to avoid having conflicts with your immediate neighbors, resolve those conflicts, and then also find a way to come together with your neighbors to create benefit to your community. So the Coming Home Flower, there'll be another whole thing about how the Coming Home Flower Essences help with that. And then the other thing that we've got down there is one of my favorite websites is the fertilecurrent.com, and they have something called the Soil Broadcaster, and you can go and watch the videos on there. But Chris has created this thing that can create coherence and for up to 14 miles from the location of the soil broadcaster. So I can't get into too much detail on that, but just a couple of things that also there, and there's many things out there, like Leela has devices. There's actually quite a few devices that people can buy that will create coherence. The thing about the Coming Home Flower Essences, though, is that it wasn't created by human intellect. So these other things that the devices, they're wonderful, but we really need to recognize the wisdom of the botanical kingdom. It's something that is such a loss for those of us that don't have that recognition. Okay, so we're going to make another video, and in that one I'm going to talk more about the collective experience. And I'm also going to be talking in the next video about the categories of people. As I've been watching these patterns of social evolution for over 25 years, and I see that there's what I call 4 quadrants of people that are contributing to this new form of social organization. And so I'm going to focus on those 4 quadrants. There's the sovereignty quadrant, the healing quadrant, the humility quadrant, and the intellect and invention quadrant. And each of those can benefit from the Coming Home Flower Essences in different ways. So that'll be the next video. Now, we can get into preparation. Shall we do that?
Sure.
Okay. So the way that people can prepare, now there are videos online about how to do this, but this is what I would suggest. As I said, this is open source. Now, Keegan is available. You can order things from him. He's going to have his email address or website down below in the show notes, and I'm going to get an email address that people can contact me. And but anyway, so when you decide if you want to order the flower essences yourself and make your own, you can either get the small mother tincture bottle if you just want to make it for family and friends, or if you want to add this to something that you're producing and distributing, then I would suggest you get the big bottle. But you get George's aloe vera is the preservative that I like, and you would find yourself a 2-ounce bottle. You fill up the bottle to about the top of the neck here, and with aloe vera, and then you take the label, and you can just put the label up on the screen so that people can get an idea of what's on the label. It's very important that people get all the words accurately, because remember, when people take this, they're not just taking it for themselves. They're taking it as a form of subtle activism is what I call it, or fractal activism, where you're taking it through yourself, but you are emanating this frequency out into the world. So these are the phrases that belong on the bottle. And you just need to add 2 or 3 drops of the mother tincture into each of the bottle. Now, when you get the mother tinctures, before you put them in the bottle, you want to succuss them. That means you tap them in your hand multiple times. And then you add each 2 to 3 drops of each flower essence into the treatment bottle. And then when you've added all the flower essence for those combinations, then you would smack the treatment bottle in your hand as well. And that just gets everything working together. I don't think that there's anything else in preparation. I mean, it's super simple. Oh, yes. Okay. Now you can come back to me, I think now. I want to talk about what people can do right now. Like today, you don't have to order the flower essence. You can start getting the benefit by using those affirmations. You can put them on 3 different glasses, or you can put them on 3 different jars. And you can fill them up with spring water, or if you don't have good quality water, one of the ways to improve the quality is to ask a blessing. So Eileen McKusick has got a video called Blessing of the Water video, and you can work through that so that you get better quality water. And then all you need to do is put the labels on the outside of that jar, and the water will pick up the frequency of those really positive words. And I went in and was tested using the Life Biofeedback machine. I went back there and I didn't have any flower essences in the bottles. So the person who was testing me didn't know that there weren't flower essences. I just had the affirmations on the bottle and it showed 100% benefit. So today, people can get those affirmations, put them on the different jars of different bottles, and you can start working with them today while you're waiting to get a flower essence, to order the flower essence from either somebody who's distributing it, or you can order directly from the flower essence places. Now, it's really important that you don't alter the combinations at all. Don't try to add sound to it. Don't mix the combinations, don't add them, because remember, the people who want to engage with this is not just about you. You are a part of a social movement when you take this. You become an antenna spreading these frequencies out into the world. So you don't want to alter it at all. The source that gave this to me knew what they were doing. Okay. So, just in closing, I am looking to collaborate with people regarding my work on this, and also for more testing of this. I know that there is a device that Paul Harris has just created. I just saw a video on it. And he has created a device that measures microcurrent or micro voltage. He also has created the Therify device. I'll probably talk about that in the next video, because I had a profound experience working with the flower essences and with the Therify device. And I think that the Coming Home flower essences would be compatible with just about every other kind of healing. Like, it will just accentuate and amplify other healings. So I want to let people know about that. So anybody who wants to collaborate with me, any healers who are interested in maybe doing some testing to see if they can get more evidence of the benefit of it, then you can get in touch with me. And and then the other thing, if you're going to order from your own flower essences, I would recommend that you order what has traditionally been called Rescue Remedy. And this is for shock. So when I talk in the next video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 stages of psychological abuse. And the first stage is when people go into freeze. So an aspect of that is that a person might say, I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. Like, they're in that freeze state. And the Bach Rescue Remedy helps people when they're in shock. And so that's what freeze is shock. Now, the FES organization they don't use the Bach name anymore because they won't allow you to use their name. So they call it 5 flower formula. I also make this up and I call it shock absorber. But the 5 flower essences that are in there are rock rose, clematis, star of Bethlehem, impatience, and cherry plum. So if people are going to order their own flower essences, I would recommend that you order those as well and make up a small treatment bottle for shock. This is really good for both people, plants, and animals. Whenever they're in shock, if you work with this, it helps allow you to handle the shock and transmute that. So that's all that I have to say. That's a lot.
Well, Aalisha, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I don't know if you mentioned Veda Austin. I want to make sure, like, if anybody is not familiar with the work of Veda Austin, to show, because you know, even if you don't have access to flower essences at the moment, you know, you can just start with these wonderful affirmations and using them together with water. The water is imprinted with that energy, and so you can look up the work of Veda Austin if you haven't done that already, to
Yeah.
see the power that's available.
Yeah. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because I would love to do some research with the Veda Austin technique because I think that what would happen is that if you took the flower essences from your treatment bottle and you worked with her, you would get images in the water. If you took the same bottle and did it 4 months later after you've been working with the flower essences, there will be a communication that develops between you and the flower essences. And I think the pictures would look different. And if that's the case, it's the same flower essences, but if the pictures look different a few months down the road, then there's something going on there that is creating, that you're calling out different harmonics in the flower essences as you heal with them. And that would provoke really interesting discussions about the wisdom of botanical remedies. So I'd really like to work with that. Okay, so we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to read the final blessing that I was given in 2010. And when I'm finished reading it, I will say, "Oh." And the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes this blessing is so powerful for me, I have a hard time getting through it. So if you hear long pauses, I'm just sort of gathering myself up. So,
And before you
so
do
if
that, I
people,
just want to thank everyone for tuning in and look forward
thank you.
to part two that Alicia mentioned. We're going to get more into the, you know, the impact that we have, you know, the capacity to create, using these flower essences, you know, not only just for ourselves but for our world, as we are reflections of that, and the little things that we do make a big difference.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Thank you. Okay, so if people just want to close their eyes, this was the final blessing that I got. And so the days pass, most without hurry, most with at least moments of completeness, most with a degree of contentment that comes from not needing the future to be better than the present. It is lovely indeed to be free of that perceptual prison, a letting go of the need for achievement, a trade-off for the ability to see the light, to watch the clouds drift across the sky and know the completeness of the universe. It is lovely indeed to step outside the illusion and know that all is right and it cannot be otherwise. There is no need to change the world once it is realized that all actions are metaphors in the pursuit of truth, the pursuit of knowing what is. The only quest of every heart, the deepest memory of every soul, the promise of a return to a home we've never left, only dreamed that it was so. It is lovely indeed to come home. Aho.